Okay, so mine's Claims 101. So now, if you think of 101, you think of college, right? In university, your first class.
School, college.
School.
Now 10-10.
Is it 10-10 now?
10-10.
Okay, so you know this is going to be a class. That means it's going to be a test. So on these pamphlets you have in front of you, on the third page, there's a test on there. This is Korby Siggard presented at the top, and there's a test. The answers on mine are all 5. You don't even need to read the questions. Don't even read it. I'm giving you the answers. They're all 5. Now, if you go to Marty Stevens, if you go to Marty's, they're all 1s. I'll just give you the answers, okay? Just remember 5s. Don't read the
5
questions.
for Marty, 1, focus number 1.
No. So we're going to go very basic, so this might get boring. So at first we're going to talk about entering claims. Oh, by the way, introduction, it's just a little bit about me, nothing new. It'll all change tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm having my 6th grandchild, and Saturday I'm running my 26th marathon. So all these will change by Saturday anyway. So other than that, I like to travel with my family. That's my Achilles heel of my financial life. I like to go places with my family. Okay, so when you've entered in a claim, when you guys go into Claim Zone and you're a claim reporter and you're going to enter a claim, you know how there's only 3 choices? And yet there's always multiple types of claims. So it is kind of confusing. So I wanted, because I know I get a lot of calls from people saying, well, is this an auto? Is this property? Is this a liability? What is this category? So we're going to cover that real quickly. So when you bring up claim reporter, you only get those 3 options. You do that drop-down box, and that is it. So if I don't cover where it's at in the next half hour, raise your hand and say, well, what about this situation? What would that be? Auto, property, or liability? So we made some charts that talk about each type of claim. So if it's an auto claim, obviously you're going to click on auto. It had to do with an auto. If there's an automobile involved, whether they hit you, you hit them, a deer hit you. If there's a vehicle involved, it's an auto claim. So right here, I think there's a point on that. Right here, this is just saying report the claim, and you want to get your driver's statement, the police report. Okay, this will lead you through how to handle the claim. So if it's a county vehicle, you say yes. So that means is the damage greater than $1,000? Then you continue forward. If it's less than $1,000, then the county is just going to handle the claim on their own because it's under the deductible. But if it's no, you can have if it's not the county vehicles, the county hits someone else, then you report it to me and I take care of the other person. So it's John Doe from down the street, the county wrecked their car. I just can take care of it from there. There's no deductible, there's nothing you need to worry about. Just the claimants all come to me. County vehicle is only when
if it's over 1,000, we should never have a problem.
Yeah, you really don't need to, yeah. I mean, we're not, so an insurance company, they'd want you to report it. Because they'd say, oh, this guy has a claim once a month. They're small, but they're once a month. Well, statistics will say that if you have a claim once a month, eventually you're going to have a big claim. So they want to know about it. We don't do our ratings that way, so it's just wasting everyone's paperwork and time to report a claim that's $100,000. So. Is the county negligent? Yes. If it's the county's fault, just go ahead and submit the photos and the estimates, and we'll get you paid. If the county was not at fault, the county has the option to go to the other insurance company. Who was it? I think it was Steve Wall. You just told me about someone in your county that got rear-ended today. There's really no reason not to go to that insurance company. I mean, usually, especially if they're hit by a State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, all those big companies, they're going to have an adjuster come out, write the bid, hand you a check, and it's actually smoother than have them go get 2 bids and do the county procedure way. So really, the only time you'd want to not go through the other party is if they're saying that they were in fault. They said, oh no, we had the red light, you had the red light. There's this dispute on who had the green light. Then it's better just to go through us and let us argue with that insurance company on whose fault it is and settle it out. So, anyway, any questions on auto claims? They're pretty straightforward. I think probably all of us have had one time in our life a claim on a personal auto policy, and it's not never charged. One thing though, I don't know what your county policy is on getting bids. I know like when you go out to get a bid for anything, you have to get, was it 2 bids, 3 bids on anything? 2? So if your county policy wants you to go get 2 bids, that's your county policy. It's not necessarily our policy. If you have a car that's the front end, it's not drivable, it's got 3,000 damage. If you get it to any one of your shops, like Hershey's or any ones that I see all the time, we can actually work with them and not have to have you try to get 2 bids on the vehicle at our end. It's your policy that's making you go get it, because that's what you do on all the jobs in the county. But body shops have learned that when they go out, when someone comes around getting bids, they just purposely leave off a major item. And then they just wait till the work's, they've got the job, and then they call up and say, hey, we forgot the hood. And then they get the job because they're the low bid, but they were actually the high bid. And the county people, or whoever didn't catch that they just wrote the low bid to get the job. So as far as our end, I'd rather get a shop you trust, get a good estimate, have to tear off the bumper, really get a good estimate, and then work with me on it. Because I can tell, even with the pictures, that certain things are going to be damaged where they're not going to be. And it'd be foolish of them in a small county to write a bid that has fraud in it, because they're going to lose all that business from county people. So those days, 30 years ago, it was bad. Shops were doing a lot of fraud. They were throwing in things that weren't in there and all that. That's changed a lot because insurance companies went to this referred shop program where they pick a shop, send them in, and have them fix it. They don't send an adjuster out anymore. So you may get hit by someone with Allstate, and they'll say, do you know Morgan's Body Shop in Morgan? And they'll say, yeah, just go in and get it fixed. And then you send an adjuster out anymore because they've developed these programs of where we just drop by. And we just walk in, and just sit, look at the car, look at the bid, and make sure they didn't do any fraud, and they know that we're going to stop by anytime, anywhere. So it's really cleaned it up, really nice. So just for what that's worth, if you want to save yourself some time, your commissioners will let you not have to have the 2 bid, 3 bid policy. Let's just get a good solid 1 bid. Look for aftermarket parts, used parts available. Just get a real bid the first time. Okay, so it's a property claim. That means, yeah.
Can I ask one question on that? I'm having a hard time trying to figure out. So you say the county vehicle, yes or no. Is it possible to have an automobile claim without a county vehicle involved?
No, yes, what that's saying is if it's a county vehicle, go down that path. But if it's not a county vehicle,
So it's for the other.
It's for the person you hit.
Okay.
The other party. So that really just
Either
says,
way, okay.
Send it to Korby and let him handle it. Yeah. Johnny?
I want to make one comment too. That's kind of in the middle. It's not a county vehicle, but it's not the other party's vehicle, and that's some of you, your department heads are getting more and more into leasing vehicles. Make sure you review the lease very closely, because some of those lease companies require you to fix the car far more than what we're going to pay for. We're going to pay as if it's your vehicle. And some of those leases say, we'll decide if the vehicle is totaled, and if it is totaled, you're going to pay us full purchase price for that vehicle. Not state contract price, not actual cash value of what the car is depreciated to, but so just watch that. If you're seeing your department use more leased vehicles, review that, and again, give Korby or I a call too on that to make sure that the coverage that you have through UCIP for your own county cars is going to be adequate to cover those lease agreements that you're signing.
Especially on total losses, and if you got a vehicle that's rolled. Yeah.
So I'm pretty new to the county. Is it discouraged then for a person to drive their own car for company purposes?
Not discouraged, no.
And
The problem is, if you drive your personal car, liability follows the vehicle. And so if you're in your personal car and you get in a wreck, they're going to go after your vehicle's insurance, not ours. So, or, not your coverage through UCIP. But if you're on county business, we would pay up to $500 towards your deductible because you're on, so you didn't have a deductible. But we can't write the liability because in Utah, it follows the vehicle. So, Okay, property claims, county property claims. If the county is the person that's lost money, and it's not an auto, 99.9% of the time it's going to be a property loss. This is going to be any kind of time that just put it under property. If the county has lost money, whether it's lightning or fraud or deceit or just anything where the county is actually losing money, then it's going to be property. I put a branch off to the side here that has a dead end, only because I put crime, notify police. That's not really to do with us. That's just to do with, at your end, you're going to want to call the police. If you have a vandalism, you're going to want to call the police and say, how bad I want to get them on it, report it.
You still report it to the claims manager, though, right?
Yeah, you go to church, yeah, so you go crime, report, call the police, and then you back over here and go, yes, it's the county property, is it an emergency? So when I say there's an emergency, is the building flooding, is it on fire right now? Well then, we don't need to be your first call. yeah, our building's on fire. I think actually you did that once, wasn't it you that called me and said we have a fire, and the fire trucks are going up the street?
I wasn't there.
Oh,
I was up here, it was a fire down there.
it was like, well, but luckily they said, but the fire truck went up the street, so I thought, oh good, at least notify them. But yeah, if there's an emergency, definitely want to get anything out there protected. Especially if we have a big windstorm come along and the wind is ripped off the roof, you're going to want to get a company in there to cover it so we don't have all the rain that's coming 5 minutes later and filling up your building. So any mitigation, that's called mitigating damages, something that is to prevent further damage. At our end, we give you the green light on that. If you need to call a restoration company to come suck the water out, you need to call the fire department, any of those kind of things that are to stop the loss. Don't worry about us questioning those. We're going to cover those because obviously it's going to save us a lot of money in the long run to do that. So if it's not an emergency, then you just go ahead and turn it into us. You get an estimate from, I know a lot of the counties use the UBK, Utah Disaster Cleanup. I know some of you use that one. They're all great companies. I know most of them, I've known them for years. And I know their program, I was trained on their program that they're writing estimates on years ago. And it's a great way to go. And they get us pictures of the damage and a police report. And then if it's a building or property, it's a $500 deductible. If it's a flood, it's a $1,000 deductible. So the difference between flood, so you have these sprinklers in your house and they burst and start flooding this room. Is that a flood or is that a water loss?
water loss.
It's a water loss, so that would only have a $500 deductible. If it's raining outside and we have this big 100-year storm that rains and the gutters all are full and it's pouring pours in your basement, that would be a flood. So that's the two differences. It's your water or is it nature's water? It's really the difference there. And we're going to go into a little more detail of what kind of property claims are property claims. So we'll get there. General liability. If the county has done anything to somebody else and it didn't involve an automobile, that's a liability claim. So you've got a whole array of anything. If someone slips and falls just on your property, that's a liability claim. If someone, the sheriff shoots somebody, liability claim. If you terminate someone, it's a liability claim. I mean, it's just anything that is going to go in that category on claim reporter. Anything where somebody else has made a claim against you. And we're going to get into more detail on this part, so don't be, I hope I don't confuse you on this part. When you get a liability claim, is the complaint served on the county? I'll put that first, because if it's served on the county, the clock starts ticking. And we have a certain amount of days that we got to answer that. So the first thing you want to do is the complaint served, yes or no? Because if it's yes, you want to immediately get it to UCIP. Don't worry about anything else, get it to us. You know, and then I can even call the insurance coordinator and make sure they enter a claim and do it, whatever. But if we get a complaint that's actually served immediately to us. If it's, and I'm going to talk about the different kinds of complaints in a few minutes, because there's federal lawsuits and there's state lawsuits, and they both have different rules. One thing I want to mention about this one is the federal lawsuits are the ones that are going to show up. You're not going to know anything about them. More than likely, they're just going to show up on your door. You're just going to get served a federal lawsuit. You won't have heard about it. You won't have heard, oh, so-and-so fell down the stairs at the conference center. That's going to be a state claim. Federal claims are when you violated someone's rights. And usually you didn't even know you did it. You know, your officers were just arresting someone, and they didn't even know that the guy thought his rights were violated. The next thing you know, a lawsuit shows up. And we're going to talk about the two different strategies and why they are the way they are. But I just want this, we're just talking about claim recorder right now. So this is any liability claim that come in. So that was federal, it's going to show up at your door. Usually a state claim is not a lawsuit that just shows up at your door one day. Instead, you hear a rumor, you hear someone's been terminated, someone fell at the courthouse. You know, you kind of hear, did you hear about so-and-so? She said she's going to sue the county. You hear about so-and-so? You kind of hear those rumors first. So that's when you start doing an in-house investigation. Someone says, oh, did you hear about the lady that fell down the stairs? That's when someone probably should go find out about it. Did they find out about it? At that point, you don't really need to involve us, really. I mean, you heard a rumor, you're going to go find out if it's true, get what information you have. Once they have to go through a process, they first have to send you a proper notice of claim, which means they have to give you a written notice that they have a claim. This year, the legislation made some big changes in this category, so we've got to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about that. I think I've got that later to go in more detail. It used to be right here, it said proper notice of claim had to be directed and delivered to the county clerk. That's changed, and we're going to talk about that later. Because I mainly just want people to understand this part of it. So, when a proper notice of claim comes in on a state claim, you give it to you, who do you give it to? You give it to your county attorney, right? If you get a state claim, you give it to a county attorney, he now has 60 days to respond to that. It used to be that if you just left it alone, 60 days is denied. This year it's now changing where they have 60 days and they have to respond to it. That doesn't mean they have to, give away information. They just have to respond to it and say, if they know, hey, this is on State Road 65, they can write back and say, this is on State Road 65, why are we involved? But they have to respond to it. And you may say, you may want to file it against the state, since it's a state road. But somehow they still need it. And then there's 2 years they have to file a complaint from the occurrence date instead of the deemed denied date. It used to be you had 60 days deemed denied and then a year to file a lawsuit. Now you have just 2 years from the occurrence date to file a proper notice claim and then file the lawsuit in that 2 years. So it's actually shorter by 60 days than it was before we filed the complaint. But on the notice of claim, it's still the 1 year from the occurrence that you have to file that written notice that you've been damaged. So this is in your pamphlet, so you can read them, and they'll make more sense as you review it. And I just wanted to kind of give you an idea so that when you're looking at it, you can, yeah, okay. But we'll go into a little more detail about that. And we should be good. Okay. Where does that belong? You have a four-wheeler that's damaged, or you have a pad that's damaged. This is our test. We had auto, liability, property, 3 categories. Wait, what are those? Where do they go? If you were to enter a claim today, what would you put in?
Where's number 5?
What?
You only got 3.
You only have 3.
Your answers are all 5.
So what do you do with it? It's going to be property, because even though it's not property, it's not a building and it's not contents, it's still owned by the county. The county is still the one making the claim. So those are going to be under county, under property. Okay, great question. Great question. So if you're in a four-wheeler and you hit a vehicle owned by the other party, technically either way would work. It'd be nice to have a way to separate that. So what I'll do is I'll put in that I'll just type it in that this was a vehicle, but technically that should be a general liability and be a liability claim, not an auto claim. Because it did involve the county vehicle.
I just had a grader hit someone's car in work.
Right.
They're doing something.
So generally that should be a liability claim, not an auto. So if it's an auto, it was the county auto is somehow involved. If you have one of these and they hit someone else's auto, even though there's an auto involved, it's not an auto claim. It's a liability claim, and that's where it gets confusing. So a liability claim, there's no deductible. So we handle it all. So if that tractor puts a $200 dent in the side of the car of someone, we just pay them full $200 in a couple of days, run the car, and pay the whole thing. So there's no deductible. The county doesn't have to worry about doing anything. They just send it in to us. And it's really nice, speaking of that though, make it really easy. If you have someone that the county has damaged their vehicle slightly, and it's a small claim like that, man, get a picture and get their estimate and send it in with an email address for them. And we can usually email them stuff, email it back and have them check, especially if they do direct deposit. We can do that almost within days. If you want to make it nicer to the people that you've accidentally hurt their vehicle, and you want to speed it up for them, to say, hey, grab an estimate, just grab an estimate. If you want to do the work, and give me your email address and I'll send it up. And contact you by email. Because I know the first thing I do is try to find an email address. We like to send them a release saying, hey, if you have $200 damage, if I send you $200, here's a release, and you sign it, you've got to send it back. But you do it by email, and it goes like this. So, okay, what would this be reported as? You got a crime. This one here is someone's taken they've done a cyber attack, and they want you to pay them Bitcoin to get their information back. I can't imagine that would happen in the county. But guess what? We just had it happen. We had our first cyber liability claim. And it was $38,000 to fix all the systems that were destroyed, and the $4,200 ransom we had to pay for Bitcoin. We haven't. The county, unfortunately, when they came in, they encrypted all their information to the point that they couldn't get it back. So really, damage their computers as well. They have, and their servers and because they can't get in them.
So how did they get in?
You know, that's what amazes me. These people that in some foreign country have nothing better to do to figure out how to get into.
But did somebody open something or like?
More than likely, they opened something.
Yeah, it was an email to one of the employees.
The email got in. And what amazes me is how to get in and be able to attack like that. It's amazing to me.
96% of that fraud, I think, is the way some comes through.
You know?
Always comes through next to people.
Yeah, if you get an email from someone, it's okay to not open, just click on the email and it brings it up. It's always that link. It'll say, you won the lottery, or something that's enticing. You want to click on it. Those are the ones you don't, if you've got an email you don't know who it's from and there's a link, never click on that link.
I just wondered if it was through the email that they.
Yeah. But the other problem is that particular county is a small county and didn't have a lot of backups. So they were able to go pretty quickly right through and caught that county on fire. You know, pretty small town and county.
Yeah.
It was
Garfield. Because they had the usual standard backup tape that was backing up. Well, they figured out that the most recent tape that backed up correctly was a year and a half old. But they didn't worry about that too much because they also had a backup to the cloud. But this virus found its way to the cloud and encrypted all the files on the cloud too. So their only option, if they weren't able to get these files unencrypted, was do a year and a half worth of work over again.
So did they unlock it after it was paid?
Yeah, they luckily did. I know. Sometimes you pay them and they say, ha ha.
Yeah.
But they actually reduced it from 25,000, I think, down to 4,200. So they paid them and crazy.
So where did the people send it?
Some Swiss account, some foreign country, and it had to be paid in Bitcoin.
They did call the FBI before they called Korby, so they worked through the FBI in negotiating the ransom down and also figuring out how to purchase Bitcoin as a public entity, because that's not so easy.
All the way through?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
So are we going to teach our IT guys that this actually happened on a county level?
Probably good for training. I would imagine the next
Absolutely.
insurance coordinator, risk management training. We should probably do that. Well, we should.
I'm not thinking everybody's
We
thinking
just
small
had a-
county, they're all thinking Morgan County.
We just had a training.
Right? No, you're all
And make sure you're backing up. Or this one here. What about the county employee that's figured out a way to sneak money out of the county? He's your clerk or whatever, and money's coming in, his property taxes, and he's putting it in his own bank account. What kind of claim is that? What would you report that under? Property. See how he's, I think we're all on the same page now. Because in your mind you're thinking, man, I don't know what that is. But it's a property, even though it doesn't fit liability, it doesn't fit auto. So unfortunately we have the three categories. Okay, so who is the claimant? When you go in and enter a claim in claim reporter, have you noticed it always brings up claimant? And if it's people are still struggling with who the claimant is. Claimant is going to be whoever is making claim for damages. So let's say this accident here happens. This is our county driver. The first claim that entered, this is the claimant, the county. So you put in the last name of the person, you put Duchesne County and the address. Joanne Evans is the contact. That's the claimant. And then you enter a claim in for this guy because he wants his vehicle paid for. Now it's Joe Smith. He's the claimant. Then you enter a claim for him because he got injured. He's a claimant again. A second claim. The same claimant, but it's a different claim because this time, this one was an auto property damage, and this is an auto bodily injury claim. So actually, that right there would be 3 claims that you're entering. And I've been doing that a lot.
That's great.
I do that a lot, and I just think, well, at least they understand the concept, so when they get, if I do that, because we had one in Rich County where there's, I think, 7 claimants from one accident, and I could not get them to understand they had to enter 7 claims, so I started just entering them, and then they started emailing me, why are we getting all these notifications that claims have been made against us? Well, because there's 7 claims, there's 5 injuries, 2 vehicles, a field or a tree that was damaged. Okay, I gotta do that. I'm taking more time than I thought. Slip and fall. What kind of claim is that? Slip and whoops. Yeah, slip and fall, or someone's been terminated. That's going to be liability. Right? I think we're all kind of clear on that stuff, right? Someone in the county falls down, an employee gets terminated, and they're going to sue. Those are always going to be liability because they don't fit property, don't fit auto. Okay, so the state claim, here's the new changes for the state claims. The state claim, like I said, are the ones that are slip and fall, auto accident, sheriff shoots someone. So you have 1 year to file a property notice of claim, directed and delivered to the county clerk. That's how it used to read, right? Now it's or the designated recipient, or elected county official, executive officer, and the county attorney by handing out. So someone can come into your county attorney and deliver a notice of claim now. It doesn't have to go through the county clerk.
As long as they delivered it to the executive officer also.
Right. So they give it to the executive officer and the county attorney.
Well, any county official and the county attorney.
Right. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be, any county
But it has to
official.
be both.
Yeah, so
Yes.
right, so elected county official, and I put executive officer just because some counties are, and then, and I bolded that, county attorney.
So what and stay the same?
So what? So it used to be, it was just the county clerk or designated person, but now they've given another more options. Yeah.
We made our designated person be our county because we weren't getting the claims through the clerk's office
Right.
timely.
That's perfect.
So does there still need to be an and or just have that?
No, because you've got him as the designated recipient. Right, so you're okay. Yeah. Now the changes, it used to be we deemed denied most of them, right? So they have 60 days to evaluate the claim. Sometimes we've had counties call up and say, yeah, we did it, write a check, and we've done that. But other times they want to just say, we didn't do this, and they let it just go. And you can't do that anymore. The county attorney has to, in 60 days, respond and say, yes, we did it, no, we did it, and it's not required, but they can say, by the way, this was a city officer, not a county officer. So they can kind of lead them in that direction. They're not required to do it, but they can. I would recommend it if they know who did it. I would say, yeah, go ahead and say it. City officers are involved, not county officers.
Well, it says if you are the wrong party to be sued, then you must tell them.
Oh, so if you're the wrong.
Right. There may be somebody else that could be at fault, and you
Gotcha.
can tell them that. But if you know, if your position is you're not the proper party to sue, you're supposed to
know.
tell them when you tell them that you've received their claim.
If you know.
Right.
But not if you don't.
Right.
It's not an obligation on you to go out and figure out who was at fault. So if you happen to know there's a city officer, county attorney would have to say, okay. Now,
What code that is?
I should have put that on there.
It's going to be in 63G7. I don't know the specific paragraph,
Right, but it's right in that.
but it's in there.
What about like we had discussed her notice about planning and zoning, so reselling something and now some is work that to you or just a local attorney or how's that?
On those, I would get to your county attorney and see what he thinks. Because a lot of times, they just filed those to try to get you back to the table, back to a city council meeting or city planning meeting, because they want to you know, you've denied their permit for zoning or whatever. They're just trying to get you back in there and do that. So that's really not gonna, so if your county attorney says, no, this one's gonna go, and they're gonna say that we caused them millions of dollars of damages because they lost the value of their land because it's gonna be a pond now instead of a high density residential community. That's a huge difference, you know. Your county attorney's going to say they're going to sue for damages, and those are the ones that want to forward to us and think it's not going to go away. They're not just trying to get us to solve the problem, and you can usually tell if they're wanting to solve the problem or they're wanting to pursue that. Okay, let's see. Now I want to pay close attention. Now this wasn't just for humor. Just one last thing. Okay, so on that video though, did you catch a couple of things? One, I want you to see the difference between an insurance company and the way we look at things. Did you notice that the insurance company they didn't even want it, they just wanted to figure out a way to get rid of it, how to pay it, throw $50,000 at it, free coffee, do that. That's what the insurance companies do. I mean, that's, when I worked for an insurance company, that's what they told us to do. We used to go out with actual checkbooks and just try to get the thing paid and done. And when I came here, it's a change of mindset. Is we don't want to give in. Do you notice one lady said it's going to get in the newspaper. The press is going to kill us. How many times do you see our lawsuits on the news? I mean, they're on Bob Sykes and these guys are on the news saying this deputy, he was shooting him and just kept shooting, and because they want us to be scared of the press. They want us to fear the press. Well, every time I see them in the press, I usually know that that means you have a good defense. Because there's no reason for them to put it in the news if they got a good defense, a good case. They do it because they want to agitate people, make people aware of it, so that if they get a jury, So, I like how we do that. Okay, so lastly, we got to save time here. We've had some issues here. So we talked about state claims, right? They're the ones that they have to do a notice claim to your county attorney, blah, 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 and you have a year to do that. What about these federal claims that come in? This federal lawsuit says you violated your rights. Well, the big difference is on a state claim, if you get a judgment or you settle a claim, it includes everything. So I fall down, I get hurt, I call that attorney, or I drink coffee and spill it. That $50,000 he was going to get, they're going to divide that out between the attorney and the person. But, whether his rate's a third or whatever, he gets a third of the settlement. A federal claim is different. A federal case, a 1983 action, where you claim their civil rights, they get the money and they get attorney fees. So you're looking at two issues here. How much are the attorney fees? So let's see how anyone's background is on this. And let's think about this for a minute. Raise your hand if you know the answer. Who's going to get more money in this scenario? I call up someone that has a federal 1983 action against the county and say, I'm going to give you your attorney give you $500,000 to settle this claim. It's just a brand new claim. We're going to give you $500,000. Or I've had a claim going on for a long time, and I know that the attorney fees are about $300,000. They're into it because we're into it about $200,000, so they got to be into about $300,000. We decided to settle for $200,000. Which of those cases did I pay more on? I paid more on the one $500,000 in the beginning, or the one that I paid $200,000 and made the commissioners happy because we're only offering $200,000 4 years later, but there's $300,000 in attorney fees. And you know the answer, raise your hand.
I'd say you spent more on the second one because you spent $500,000 just between attorneys and $200,000 total.
Close?
You spent more on the first one because the time value of your money.
Yeah, that's not the option I was looking at. I was looking more general about the time option.
But the dollars are the same.
There you go.
Time value.
Okay, who thinks that it's the exact same settlement? It's the exact same, right? Because the first one I'm going to pay out $500,000. The second one I'm going to pay out $200,000 in the judgment and $300,000 in attorney fees. So you end up paying it $500,000 either way. So there's a great strategy that is in our favor, and it's so hard. And believe me, there are so many plaintiff attorneys that don't understand it, and there's plenty of defense attorneys that don't understand it. And it's shocking how many even county attorneys will not understand this concept. If a complaint comes in, and it's a federal complaint, and we know that no jury is going to give this guy more than $10. There's really no damages. He was really not damaged. He was inconvenienced. He was in handcuffs for a half hour, but he really wasn't damaged. So we know that no jury is going to give him any money. But he files this complaint anyway. And we said, oh, we're going to defend it. The county attorney commissioners are like, don't pay him a dime, don't pay him a dime. 3 years later, we go to trial, and they think, you know what, that was kind of rude to have that guy in a handcuff for a half hour. We're going to give him $1. What happens?
There's no cap.
He suddenly has $300,000. The attorney gets his fees. He says to his client, you know, kind of a bummer for you, but I got all my fees, so here, I'll throw you $50,000. You know, he'll work it out and make his client happy. So who won? They did. So the commissioner's like, oh, how did you end up having to pay this guy $300,000? Well, the strategy of this Rule 68 offer, so now let's reverse that. A new claim comes in, guy's been in handcuffs for 10 minutes, or for a half hour, there's no damages, and we go to the county and say, we want to make a Rule 68 offer of $20. Well, let's say $1,000. We figure now they're not going to take $1,000. Let's say $1,000, and we know they're not going to take it. So then they don't take it because they're thinking, right, $1,000. 3 years later goes by. We get a judgment, and the jury says, I think we ought to at least give him $1. We give him $1. What happens in that scenario?
No attorneys.
Yeah, no attorney fees. So we write a check. We had it happen one time. And Peter Sturba asked if he could deliver the $1 check, if he wanted the check delivered to his office. Because it was $1, and we had one of those in place, no attorney fees. The problem is convincing your sheriff and your commissioners that we are not making an offer wanting to settle. Does that make sense? When this comes up, and I call you sheriff, we had it happen this week in Sevier County. Del Air had to meet with the sheriff yesterday and say, look, it's on speaker. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but it's the same scenario. It's like, what's an amount that they will not take? And they came up with $5,001 because we thought, well, a jury may round it to $5,000. Let's do $5,001 and make this offer of judgment. We're in the time frame right now. They have 10 days to accept it. And more than likely, the plaintiff attorney will write back and say, oh, we want to sell for $80,000. And we just laugh because they don't get it. They don't get what we're doing. And so the 10 days goes by and nothing happens. Now, when we go to trial and go through all this litigation, he gets anything less than $5,000, that's all they get. But what's he having trouble with? He's having trouble with your sheriff and with your commissioners. Luckily, you have a smart sheriff. And your sheriff's, oh, the light went on. So we don't want him to take this offer. No. We want him to just let it go. And then it sits for years of litigation.
So the rule on that, though, is if you offer an amount greater than what they receive, no attorneys.
Yep.
But if they get a judgment for an amount greater than $1 greater than what you offered, then they get all the attorneys.
Right, thank you. Does that make sense to all of you? So it's a gamble. The 5,001, I kind of, Gail and I had 20 conversations. 1,001, 10,001, 4,001, playing that game. What can we probably win? But we looked at that there's really no damages, there's nothing you really suffered. But we could see an attorney saying, give him $3,000. Or a jury saying, give him $3,000. So we went 5,001. And we did have it sting us once. About 10 years ago, we had one where we thought there's no way. We made an offer of $50,000 and they didn't take it. So we decided to do an offer of judgment of $18,000, thinking that it was really high and yet, he wouldn't take it. We sent it to him, they accepted it. The county commissioners were like, what did you do? And so they were upset. But that's the risk you take.
That 18,000 than going through the whole process.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that's the conversation we had to say. By the way, just overall, you actually save money, and we did a low number that we didn't.
But it's hard to explain to the commission that that's not really a settlement. You weren't doing a settlement, you were trying to go through this upper judgment process, and it kind of backfired in that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we were playing chess,
Yeah.
and we actually moved the wrong pawn. I mean, we just made that one little, because it's a guessing game. You don't know where that number is that they'll take and where they won't take.
Well, this attorney was probably sharp. He said, listen,
You're not getting anywhere with this. You
Right.
take it.
yeah. And depends on how sharp your attorney is.
Right.
Because I've seen some attorneys, they'll happy to litigate until you run out of money. Others are not saying, here's the true value of the problem we can't get, is it worth it to take the risk at this time?
So did that totally confuse people? Or you all, I think, based on your questions, I think you're all got that. I think you're all, boy, it's a hard discussion with your commissioners and your sheriff, especially your sheriff, because he wants.
Right at everything done.
Right, he doesn't want his deputy to be seen as he did something wrong. He wants to be, he did nothing wrong, and so when they take it, the sheriff might say, you gave him, $5,001 in Sevier County, but that's why now we get this. I get the sheriff to say yes, and the attorney to say yes after he's talked to the commissioners. So Dale talked to the commissioners, talked to the sheriff, and then we did it yesterday. So, and you got to do it early because, believe me, the plaintiff attorney is going to run those attorney fees up as fast as he can. And they're just going to. So you got to do it full soon. Anyway, I think you had all your questions, and I think we're just barely over.
So you on the hook, or you need attorney fees before you make the offer, is that?
Yeah, so that is another risk. So great question. So when we make that rule offer of $5,001, if he accepts it, we have to pay the $5,001 and attorney fees up to that point. But that's why you got to do it immediately, so that they're very small. In Speakman, he's maybe filed a complaint. He's maybe $1,000 into it. But we do have that risk, and that's why you got to do it sooner the better. Yeah, good question. Did everyone catch that? Okay, cool. Well, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, because again, because we have to pay the attorney's fees to date is why we want to do it really early. The one county that Korby talked about that got burned, that we made an offer of judgment and they took it and they didn't understand why we settled the claim and hadn't discussed it with them. Well, that was years ago, but they remembered it. And more recently, they had another new claim come where some of their officers shot someone. There were other officers involved from other departments too. But they told our attorney that we hired to assist them, we're not one dime are we offering, nothing. Well, now we're $250,000 into defense, so the plaintiff's attorneys probably spent $300,000 or more already. And now the state and the other agencies that are involved are saying, well, maybe we want to settle this. And right, so now the big question is, do we make an offer of judgment now? We're still pre-trial. So we will make an offer of judgment, but
double the trial, right?
yes. So, but had we made an offer of judgment right out of the gates, that would have saved us $250,000 potentially if they get anything at trial. Good news is The type of case we're talking about, we've never lost one. So hopefully we'll continue that, and the jury will find 0 verdict against the county, and we won't have to pay anything other than our attorney's fees.
It's like, question for you, did you see all these dog bites? Canine dog bites.
Yeah.
You guys fight those, or you just pay out?
It's really difficult because dog bites are strict liability in Utah. You own a dog, it bites someone, you don't get to defend yourself, you just pay.
But the good news is it's a state claim. So it would be, because I settled lots of dogs. When I worked for farmers, dog bite, I just go to check with planning and I'm going into family safety. Because it's strict liability. There's no athlete's pool, there's certain things that, if you have them, you take responsibility for them. Dogs are one of them. And so when the dog bites someone, I go and they have a cut on the finger and I just say, I'm charged with $1,000. But if they got an attorney, same thing. Here's $5,000 and it includes attorney fees and everything. So it's not, you'd never do a rule, you'd never do an offer judgment in that kind of case.
Unless it was a really
So do you guys fight ones where like a criminal says he was bitten unjustly, even though it was justified, or would you guys take that to court?
Usually the dogs are trained well, and if the dog was in doing what he's supposed to be doing, we defend those.
Yeah. Because it's one thing when they bite what they're not supposed to necessarily, but a lot of the dogs that the counties are using are sniffers, not attack. So we don't see a lot of